Hello! In this tutorial I will be showing you how to apply high-quality HDT-SMP cloth physics for clothes and armor in Skyrim Special Edition, quickly and with easy-to-use software. I will try to go through the entire process from the beginning, step by step, and explain the reasoning as I go, but keep in mind there may be some steps I miss along the way. Much of this tutorial will be read from a handwritten script, hopefully in order to make it as clear and as easy to follow as possible. I shall leave the script in the description below, segmented by chapters in case reading is easier to follow. To preface this tutorial, I want to say that though quick, this process is still quite time-consuming, full of tedium and minutiae. If you truly want to learn to do this, I highly recommend setting aside a few hours, putting on some music, or just appreciating the dulcet tones of my voice, and replaying parts of the video whenever needed. Chapter 1. Vocabulary, NIFs, and Tools. To begin with, let's look at the tools and files we'll be working with. We'll be using 3 tools in this tutorial, links in the description. Firstly, we'll use Bethesda Archive Extractor, BAE, to find the armor we want to edit. Very easy to use. For the vast majority of the work, we'll be using Outfit Studio, a genius tool created by Nexus mod makers. Lastly, we'll use NifSkope for a small but extremely crucial step. Next, the files. NIFs, which stand for Net Immerse files, are what Skyrim's engine uses as models. Whenever you play the game, the models you are looking at are renderings of NIFs. This is what we will be editing in Outfit Studio. For our final part of the process, I cannot recommend Notepad++ enough. Most serious mod users have the program already, even if they aren't making mods. I will assume you already have HDT-SMP physics installed in your game. If not, install it. I recommend using FSMP, found on the Nexus. Chapter 2. Finding our NIF. Now that we've got our tools, we need to get our NIF into them. Firstly, we need to know what armor we want to apply physics to. For this tutorial, I'll use the Hammerfell garb, as it appallingly lacks physics for the cape. Now let's find its NIF. First, open BAE. From your game's data folder, grab Skyrim Meshes 0 and drag it into BAE. Click Select None. This will prevent you from extracting the entire, very large BSA file. It may take some time to find the NIF, but as long as you follow the intuitive file structure, it shouldn't be too hard. The Hammerfell garb is under Meshes, Clothes, Redguard. You can see the NIFs here. Check the Redguard box to extract all of its NIFs. Extract to an easy-to-locate folder. I prefer to use my desktop as a file workspace, so I'll extract to Redguard HDT. Close BAE, we will not need it any longer. Now open Outfit Studio and hit File, Import from NIF. The file we're looking for is redguardoutfit0.nif. If you intend to make this for females, use the redguardoutfit0.nif. Chapter 3. Editing the NIF. 3a. Shapes. Now we're in the meat of this process. I recommend pausing the video now and taking some time to familiarize yourself with Outfit Studio's camera controls, as you will be using them extensively. As a primer, use a right-click to rotate your camera around the model like so, and middle mouse to pan around the model. Also take a look at the right side of the screen where you will see tabs labeled Meshes, Bones, Partitions, Colors, and Lights. We will use the first 3 of these tabs. Unfortunately for us, Bethesda lacked the foresight to separate this model into shapes, so we'll need to do it ourselves. We're going to use vertex selecting to separate the cape from the rest of the outfit. First, click Red Guard Fat Outfit. Hit Q. The green dots represent vertices, which you will be intimately familiar with by the end of this process. Next, hit W. We have a wireframe, which will help visualize triangles on the model. Rotate to the back of the outfit. Ensure this button is selected. And let's begin. Use Control and left click to highlight vertices red, preparing them for separation. If you accidentally highlight a vertex you don't want to separate, just left click on it to turn it green again. We've got the outside of the cape repaired, but we also need the inside. Rotate back around and highlight vertices on the inside. The camera controls can become quite finicky at this point, and it is very easy to highlight unwanted vertices. You'll be staring at a lot of red guard butt during this process, so I hope you're into that sort of thing. As a tip, your camera can be inside a mesh and still allow you to select the vertices you are looking at. Said another way, you cannot select exterior meshes that you are inside of. And yes, I did go back between recordings and get that vertex that I missed. Pausing the video to note that the 4 vertices I just highlighted are examples of vertices you should not highlight. I've done this for the tutorial, but I don't recommend you do this. Now let's separate the cape. Right-click Red Guard Fat Outfit and hit Separate Vertices. Let's name the shape Cape. Click the eye next to the Red Guard Fat Outfit to hide the model. Click on Cape to show the vertices. If you've picked up some unwanted vertices, as you can see here, don't worry, we can fix it. For this tutorial, I have intentionally picked up unwanted vertices. Take your time to highlight them without the outfit getting in the way. Once done, separate this into Outfit 1. Show the main outfit again, and hide the cape, in order to ensure you've got all the vertices. Looks like I haven't. If this happened to you as well, select the vertices and separate them into Outfit 2, ascending in number as many times as required. Alright, so let's fix those mistaken vertices. Right-click Outfit 1 and click Merge Geometry. Your target is going to be Red Guard Fat Outfit. Make sure that the Delete Source Shape box is checked. We have another issue. Partitions do not match. Make sure the amount of partitions and their slots match up. Close this and enter the Partitions tab. As you can see, we only have one partition. Select Redguard Fat Outfit and go into the Partitions tab again. You can see we have 3. You want Outfit 1 to look the exact same. Back in Outfit 1, right-click to add partitions. Let's do 2 of them. Change the new partition type to 38 calves. Do the same for 34 forearms. Click Apply to proceed with the merge. Do the same for all other shapes. IIIb, bones. With that done, we now need to add physics bones to the cape. Go back to our cape mesh and open the Bones tab. Click on every green bone on that list. The colors appearing on the model are called weights, which are a very important element that we will get into later. For now, click on the Bone button on the left side of the screen to see our bones. If you've used skeleton mods in the past, you'll now see why they are known as such. These new green dots are called nodes, and the lines between them are the connections between them. Together, these are bones. We want our cape bones to look something like this when we're finished. I recommend taking a screenshot of this and using it for reference later. Notice how the bones all stem from an origin bone, connect to an anchor bone at the top, and then hang downward along with the contours of the cape. Incidentally, this is a NIF from Cloaks and Capes SMP on the Nexus, which has some of the highest quality cloth physics I've seen yet. We need to choose an origin bone for our cape. Let's use NPC Spine 2, mainly for its central location. Right-click NPC Spine 2 and add a custom bone. This will be our first anchor bone. Ensure that the parent is NPC Spine 2. Name it C_00. We'll be changing the XYZ offsets to move our node. Take some time to familiarize yourself with the directions you can offset your node in. Use values like 10 and -10 and press OK, making note of the direction the node travels in. You could right-click C_00 to edit the position of the bone again. As far as I'm aware, Outfit Studio does not have the function to drag position nodes, but this system works just fine. We're going to be positioning this anchor bone at the far left of the outside of the cape. My values are X-10, Y-10, and Z-22. Click OK and let's build our first bone branch. Add a new custom bone with C_00 as the parent and name it C_01. We'll now be making bones down the cape, matching its contour. We'll want our bone branch to rest slightly above the cape mesh. The closer it is, the more accurate the physics will be, but it'll also increase the chances of something going wrong, as a node behind or inside the mesh will deform it in the game. For every new bone, I'll be offsetting by a value of Z-10, making adjustments to the Y offset to match the contour. I'll let you make your bone branch. Note that if you wish to, you can make the Z increments smaller in order to increase the amount of bones in the branch. More bones will mean more accurate physics, but exponentially increases the amount of time this process takes. If you want to use my values, they're in the script. few tips. I find it useful to use increments of 0.3 for my Y offset. Make the final bone of the branch hang off past the bottom of the cape by a little bit for accurate edge cloth physics. If your bone branch ends up slanting to the side, you can add small value changes to the rotation of your anchor node to correct the entire branch at once. You can also do this on nodes further down, but things can get a little fiddly doing this. If your hanging bones get to C_09 without making it to the end of the cape, don't name the next one C_10. Instead, name it either C_010 or C_09A, continuing from there until finished. You can also elongate some bones to make C_09 work. For example, my C_09 had a Z value of -17.5. You should be able to make 2 more bone branches in the middle and right sides of the cape. First, make the anchor bone, named C_10 from the NPC Spine 2 origin, and then hang bones from there. You might be able to hear my cat running past. To easily get the correct offset amount, try using your Y and Z offsets from the first anchor with X0 for the middle anchor and the positive X value for the right anchor. As you do this, ensure that your C bone count does not exceed 81 bones by the time you're finished. The engine limits shapes to 81 bones, and if exceeded, the cape will literally explode. If you want a lot of bones, I highly recommend capping it at around 70 C bones. Much to my dismay, the speed at which I'm making bones now is due only to clip speed effects in Camtasia. I'm actually taking my time with this, even with values I made earlier, and you should do the same. It's tedious, but you'll get there eventually. I'll see you on the other side. Ah, good to see you again. Was that fun? Hope you're ready for more. 3C. Weights. Next, we'll add weights to our bones. Weights tell the engine how much a specific area of our mesh should move and are connected to each bone node. This process is less tedious than making the bones, but is easier to get wrong. Frankly, I'm not great at weight painting, but here we go. First, let's unweight all of our body bones. Hit W to get rid of the wireframe, which is now in our way. Click on NPC-L calf on the Bones tab. Notice the weight colors. Blue means lightweight and red means heavyweight, so in-game, lightweights will move less and heavyweights will move more. We're going to hold Alt and left mouse button on a colored area, making circles with it until the weight is gone. You can see that this process is very slow. One thing that we can do to mitigate this is go into Tool up here, and we can increase the brush strength. We can also do this with Control and Plus at the same time. Significantly faster. An alternative way that we could do this is go to NPC-L calf up here and delete from the selected shape. We will not delete from the project. This will be very, very bad. So let's go from selected shapes. And now there are no weight colors on this cape. I'm going to just do that for every single bone here. You should take a moment to familiarize yourself with the brush that you are using. Holding the left mouse button and painting makes weights heavier. Holding Alt makes weights lighter. You can also change the brush size and strength with the tool drop-down menu up above, as shown before. For this project, I recommend a brush on the larger and stronger side, much like how I like my red guards. Now let's add our weights. Click C00 and go to the top left corner of the cape. As C00 is an anchor weight, we'll leave it blue so that it's light. I recommend keeping weights quite localized on their respective bones. If the game tells the bone to move, you want the part of the cape that is closest to it to move. You don't want a bone on the other side of the cape moving with it. Notice that C00 has turned green in the list. That means it's saved to the cape shape in Outfit Studio. All of our C bones will be green by the end of this process. Continue down your bone branch. Make C01 somewhat heavier, not red but green in color. Don't be afraid to overlap weights on separate bones, but keep overlapping areas lighter. Each spot of weight paint should look almost like a really nasty bruise, intense in the middle, mellower on the edges. As you go, think about how cloth moves. Aside from the strange and esoteric meditative properties this will impart on you, realize that cloth moves around a center of mass. Edges that are not held down move faster than the center does. For realistic physics, make your weights reflect that. Lighter towards the top, light in the center, heavier in the edges, and heaviest on the very bottom. Weight painting is almost a gut feeling, and like most gut feelings, they're both right and wrong. If you want really high quality physics, expect to come back to tweak your weights once this process is over. Give the weight painting the attention it deserves. Here I was thrown off my rhythm due to an anomaly in the bone list. Due to a glitch I had between recordings, my C22 bone had been placed on the bottom of the list, and I ended up skipping over it while weight painting. I noticed the mistake before it was too late, but it is that sort of thing that can mess up your physics object. There was also a terrifying moment here when Outfit Studio froze. My computer is 13 years old by this point, and I was convinced it was crashing. It didn't, but I say this to make a point. Save often. In-game, I'm quick saving almost every 10 steps. In the original script, I wrote in save points, but saved the file in such a way that screwed up the bones. Outfit Studio has a projects method of saving, which is what I should have written in, but didn't realize it until just a few minutes ago. Oh well, we're almost at the first non-screw save point anyway. When you're satisfied, we'll export your file. Click File, Export to NIF. It is okay to overwrite redguardoutfit0.nif, as redguardoutfit1.nif is an exact copy of the original and can be used as a backup. And now, finally, say goodbye to Outfit Studio. 3D, NifSkope. Remember that tool we were going to use way back when? Now's the time. I promise this is going to be quick. First, we need to make an XML file, which we'll get into later. In the folder with all of your NIFs, right-click and make a new text document. Open its properties and rename it to redguardoutfit.xml. Click OK. Yes, we do want to change it. Now open NifSkope. Click File, Open. We're going to navigate to the exported NIF. I just so happen to have it. Oh, actually, I don't have it here. Let's go to the desktop instead. There we have it. All right, now I'm going to click the arrow next to 0knee node. Right-click on any knee node that does not have a drop-down menu. Hit Block, Insert, Yes. In knee S, find knee string extra data. We will not be using knee strings extra data, but knee string extra data. Click knee string extra data in the list. Below, find name and string data. Right-click name and edit string index. Hit yes. This will require precise typing and exact capitalization. Type it exactly as you see me type on screen. HDT skinned mesh physics object. You can see HDT-SMP. Click OK. Now we're going to go back into our NIF folder. We're going to navigate to our NIF. And in the file path up here, we're going to copy meshes, clothes, redguard. Control C to copy. back in NifSkope. Right-click string data. Edit string index, yes. Now paste that file path here. At the end, we're also going to write /redguard outfit.xml. You'll see now that this knee string extra data is actually outside of the knee node 0. So to fix that, we're going to right click, block, copy branch. Click yes. Then we're going to right click need node 0. Going to go into block and then paste branch. Click yes. There we have it. We have it at the bottom. We'll also go ahead and remove this one, which is now superfluous. So block, remove. Yes. And now let's go ahead and save the NIF. Just hit save. Alright, and that is the end of NifSkope. Alright, we are doing great. Unfortunately, we have some more tedium ahead, so maybe take this moment to get a snack, a soda, or a cup of spiced wine, the taste of home and hearth.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
You were trying to make high-quality HDT physics, right? Same as us. But we're not done yet. Chapter 4, Physics Code. So, like I said, some more tedium ahead. Don't worry though, it won't be as bad as the bones or weights. You can follow my lead exactly. In this last section, we will be writing the physics code in our redguard outfit.xml file. This is the file that tells HDT-SMP 64.dll to hook into our NIF and work its magic. In the file, we will be telling the DLL exactly what sort of magic we want it to work. Like in NifSkope, this file will require extremely precise typing. A single typo will break the file. Pause this video often and type exactly what you see on screen. For this process, I will write slowly and will be speaking off of the script. You can also find this file in entirety on the script, but I highly recommend following along with me on the video, as it is important to know how to type this yourself. Open redguardoutfit.xml. Once again, I cannot recommend Notepad++ highly enough for this process. You might want to die if you do it on regular Notepad. The following section is quite long and contains a lot of me click-clacking on my keyboard interspersed with rambling. You can attempt to glean some useful information from my inane babbles. Surprisingly, I did provide some context to the code, but it is also perfectly fine to just write along with me on mute. I also want to say that if you intend to use my provided XML file, you should skip past this writing section to the in-game section. The in-game section shows some bugs that you can encounter with any XML file and tells you how to correct them until you're left with something that you're expecting. Alright, so as a preface, I am actually typing this from an exact copy I have on the other screen, so I'm probably going to be a little bit quieter than I usually am throughout this, than I have been through this tutorial. But let's get this going. So first we're going to open an angle bracket, question mark, XML space version equals 1.0 encoding equals UTF-8 question mark close angle bracket. Now we're going to do system XMLNS colon XSI equals http://www.w3.org/2001/XML schema dash instance space XSI colon no namespace schema location equals description dot XSD. I don't pretend to know what that means. As far as I can tell, that is telling Skyrim what an XML is, I think. Now we're going to close this code block with open angle bracket, system, make sure you get the / there, close angle bracket. Let's also give some space there. So this, what you see in Notepad++, the highlighting that you see in Notepad++ right now, that is a code block. You're going to become best friends with them. Alright, so now let's go ahead and declare our bones. Do open angle bracket, exclamation, dash dash, space, bones, space, space, dash dash, rather space, dash dash. Now do a space. First, we're going to declare our static bones. These are the bones that do not move on the body with HDT physics anyway. We're going to declare our body bones first. Oh, I forgot to type body. Now give a tab, and we're going to start writing a bunch of bones. So, open angle bracket, bone name equals NPC L calf L CLF. We always have to have a closed angle bracket with a / at the end when we write these bones. Otherwise, it won't know what to point to. Let me show you where I'm getting these bone names from, by the way. So I still have Outfit Studio open. I'm getting them from here. Certain outfits will have more or less of these, like for example, certain armors that I've done have toe bones and finger bones. This one does not, it's more simple, but you have to write the toe bones and the finger bones in there as well, whenever you see them. So let's go ahead and get this going. I made a typo there. Always keep an eye on your typos. Also, make sure you're not doing these squiggly brackets here. I can't remember what they're called. Braces. They're called braces. Don't do a brace, do a bracket. That space there is intentional. As far as I can tell, these strings in the brackets are just kind of like shorthand names for the bones. So, for example, you got NPC left as an L, forearm, which is like lower arm, so L lower AR arm. Not extremely important to know that, but it is good to know. If you've typed along with me, that's good. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab bone name NPC. Then I'm going to copy what I've written there. Sorry if that was ear rape. I've just pasted a bunch of times. That will make it much easier to type all these out. This space is also intentional. We can have Notepad++ auto-complete some things for us. It'll become a very useful tool. I haven't pasted enough. Let's paste some more real quick. That might be enough. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I made a mistake here, you see that? I put RUT1 on upper arm, where that should be RUAR. RUT1 lives here on upper arm, twist 1. If we got any of these wrong, we will know later on. I'm not going to bother going back and proofreading. Alright, so now let's go ahead and declare our dynamic bones. So, I'm going to make a space. These green lines are comments. They're not necessary, but I like to do it for organization purposes. This makes it extremely easy to make a template for future XML files if you plan to do more XML files. Very, very useful. Okay, so the dynamic bones that we're going to be making here. Nope, we're not going to be doing the dynamic bones yet. We're actually going to be declaring the static cape bones. These are our anchor nodes. Sorry about that. So if you remember, our anchor nodes were C_00. C_10. You see how all the anchor bones end with 0? That was intentional. Not my idea, by the way. Geniuses on the Nexus. I learned all this by deconstructing their mods. Alright, now we're going to declare our dynamic bones. Sometimes, I like my cursor, but sometimes it is difficult to see against the very white background. So we're going to be setting a default bone setting, a default bone configuration for these bones to follow. These bones will not have any configuration. That is because they are not connected to HDT-SMP. Dynamic bones are. Make sure you get your close angle bracket there. So we're going to do mass. I'm going to be preloading some values into this. So mass 1, for example, doesn't have to be mass 1. It could be mass 20, although you wouldn't like the results. It could be mass 0.5. That might be actually better than 1. You'll have to tweak it later on. We'll get to that later. X equals. I'm going to be making a template here, and then I'll change these values in a second, because we're going to need that guy quite a lot. Okay, so let's grab this. We'll control copy it for now, or for later rather. Let's set all these to 15. Probably getting tired of my keyboard clicking and clacking already. Oops. I shouldn't have copied the inertia. I should have just copied the coordinates there. Let me do that. Good old autocomplete. close the bone default block. From now on, all the bones that we have under this bone default will be configured as such in this code block. Now, about these values, inertia. Actually, first let's get into mass. Mass, how to explain, mass is kind of how heavy, I guess, your bones will be. That's not the right way to say it. Like in weight painting, the heavier it is, the more it will move in the game. That is the same for mass. So if you set the mass to 50, for example, the cloak or the cape will be jittering all over the place by itself. If you set it to a more reasonable value like 1, then it'll move a lot less. Inertia, that describes how far the cloak can move in planes of movement. Interjecting here, it's not how far objects can move, but how much further they do move. Very important distinction. So 15 degrees in the X plane, 15 degrees in the Y plane, and in the Z plane as well. You can set these higher if you want more movement. Center of mass transform, no idea. Linear damping. All of these right here, linear damping, angular damping, friction, and rolling friction, they kind of do the same thing, or rather similar things anyway. The higher your damping is, the less your physics object is going to fly around. So if you have this very low, then a very small movement will cause a great effect on your cloak. Having this much higher, as I do, this will help this object become much more reasonable. Alright, so after this, now we're going to declare our dynamic bones. So our dynamic bones are going to be the cape bones. It would be useful to grab these 3. Let's copy them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that'll be enough. I think that might actually be 1 too many, but better 1 too many than 1 too few. 9, because we have 9 bones in the bone branch. I think we have 10 bones in the bone branch total, but 9 starting from C01. So we're going to be setting these in that order. You see we have bone branches C01, C02, this one's going to be C03, so on and so forth. This is just going down the cape. Hey, look at that, perfect. Alright, now we're going to type our constraints. We're actually about halfway through this entire file already. Not too bad. Very quick. Might have some typos in there somewhere. We'll have to figure it out. Alright, so we're going to make a comment. Constraints. And now, very similar to this bone default, we're going to be making a constraint default. So let's type generic constraint default. And then we're going to type the configurations of the constraints. Constraints are locks between the bones. So if a bone is locked, if C01 is locked to C00, then it will be locked to it, which means that it won't fall through the floor. It'll stick to it. Let's grab these friends again. And W0. Don't know what the frame in B is, but it has been mildly useful to me in the past. If this video gets popular, I might make some more guides on the particulars. Did I already say that you guys might be tired of my clicking and clacking? Cows that type? Alright, we're going to be changing these values in just a second. Alright, and that is the end of our generic constraint default configuration. Let's close that code block. Now we're going to type our constraints. So, these are kind of like how we write bones. Kind of, but not really. So we're going to type body A equals quote unquote, and then actually tell you what, let's write that. We're making a template here in order to make things much easier for us later on. In fact, for this, let's just go ahead and do 0, 0, and 0, 1. Okay, so constraints. I talked about them already. They are locks between bones, dynamic bones in particular. So we have the lock between C01 and C00. Body B is what we're locking to. Body A is what we are locking. So we're not going to do C00 to C01. We're going to do C01 to C00. Let's copy this bad boy. That's 9-ish, somewhere around there. And now we're going to go down the list, down the cape. The bone branch, if you remember how I called it. There we go. Now we need to make generic constraints for the other two bone branches. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excellent. And let's set these to 1. Actually, tell you what. Even better, even better. Let's grab this entire block. Paste it there. Paste that there. That way it'll be much, much, much faster for us to do this. Okay, so we're going to change all of these front zeros to 1s. This represents bone branch 1. As opposed to bone branch 0, which is actually our first one. I don't know where I came up with the tone bone branch, but it seems to work. Probably got it from NifSkope and thought I was clever in calling it branches. Perfect. Excellent. So, at this point, the cape is ready to be played. It does have physics, it has constraints, it won't fall through the floor. Issue is, however, it will now clip through your body. For now, it'll also clip through other objects like doors, it'll clip through the ground, it'll clip through mountains. Those can be fixed later on. However, that's too big of a topic to be getting into in this video. This video is to represent how to set up HDT physics. We still want them to look nice, though. So, we're going to set up a few colliders. Let's make that comment there. And make a space. Going to declare static colliders first. You see the word shape that I just wrote there. That I am getting from Outfit Studio in meshes. The shape that we are going to be using right now is red guard fat outfit, so it has to be typed exactly as such. We'll do triangle shape, name equals red guard fat outfit. Going to be typing margins. I'll get into what these things mean in a second. Penetration of the red guard fat outfit. And we're going to tag this as outfit. Tag is just a reference tool, kind of like shorthand for red guard fat outfit. Pretty easy. Going to close this code block. Okay, so margin. That is like an extra layer of meshing that is extruded from the shape that we have. we want a little bit of margins there in order for the cape to know to collide with it before it actually gets there. If it actually gets to the red guard fat outfit shape, then it will clip into the shape and it'll be an ugly, exploding, imploding mess. It'll be bad. So we want some margins there. We also want some penetration for it to very slightly allow some tolerance into the margin. If there's very little tolerance for the margin in penetration, then we can also have some clipping issues, unfortunately. Okay, let's go ahead and declare our dynamic collider. The name of this one is going to be our dynamic shape. Come on, having that cursor issue again. There we are. So the name of the dynamic shape is cape. Now we're going to do margin once again. I'm going to set this to 0.2. It's usually better to have the dynamic object, the physics object, have a smaller margin, although that's, you know, you can tweak that. Let's also set penetration to 0.1. Let's tag this as cape. And now we're going to say what this can and cannot collide with. So we're going to say can collide with tag outfit, because that is the tag. And can collide with tag. We're also going to say no collide. We tag cape. We do not want it colliding with itself. That can, once again, cause an implosion issue. Rather, don't do that. Alright, let's close this block. Per triangle shape, good to go. And hey, check that out. We have finished. We are all done with the coding. Pretty sure. We'll figure it out. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this. Let's grab all the files from Redguard HDT, or whatever folder you've put it in. And we need to get back into our Skyrim folder. That is not the one. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go into Skyrim Special Edition, wherever you have it installed. Data. Meshes. Clothes. I'm going to do Redguard. You can also very easily just drag meshes into the meshes folder, rather into the data folder, and it'll automatically figure out the path by itself, but it's good to do this sort of thing. Alright, so let's grab all of these files. Let's paste them into Skyrim Special Edition. You probably won't have to overwrite them. Reason I had to overwrite them is because I had actually made a prior version to this NIF. Alright, and then we should be good to go. Let's give it a try.
From here on, the audio takes a turn for the worse, I'm afraid. Many apologies.
Alright, well, here he is.
goodly red guard. His name is Thunsane Bolt. He recently completed the Helden circuit in under 2.5 minutes. Very impressive, but he needs better clothes. Clothes fitting a red guard. So let's see. I'm actually nervous and excited. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. Okay, so we have no physics. Let's go and see why that might be. Alright, so I have navigated to my HDT-SMP 64 log, which can be found in the SKSE folder in my documents. And I'm looking for any instance that has redguard outfit.xml. So I'm just going to open up a find and type in redguard. Let's find next. Okay, that one's not relevant. That one is not relevant. Not relevant. Not relevant. Not relevant. That is relevant. Alright, so it looks like we've got meshes close redguard outfit.xml. On line 13, I made a typo. Oops, I forgot a bracket. And on line 94, I made a parse error. Let's take a look. There's our typo. Forgot the bracket. And then it was line 94. I put an extra slash here. Let's go ahead and save that. Luckily, we do not need to close down the game in order to refresh the XML. We can just go back into the game and re-equip our armor. Let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so here we are again. Go ahead and equip the armor. See what we get. And it seems like a constraint issue to me. Do you see how... Yeah. Do you see how it's kind of melting into the floor? It's falling endlessly through the world. I believe that's a constraint issue. Let's go ahead and take a look. There's always some troubleshooting to be done. It's very rarely perfect. It's fairly rarely correct on the first try. So let's go ahead and fix what we can fix. You can see here that I forgot to write the O2 to O3 constraint. And I think that might be our issue. So let's write O2 to O3, and we're going to have to do that for every one of them. 1, 2, 2, 1, 3. In fact, if you think about where the melting was occurring in the game, that is where the bones O1, rather O3 would be. O3, 1, 3, and 2, 3. So that is very likely the issue. 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. Otherwise, I could see that it had physics going up to that point. Alright. Let's see if that worked. Wow. What the fuck? Yeah, you remember these? You remember these values? I said I was going to change them, and then I didn't? Well, I highly recommend you change them to this. And scoot that over as well. Yeah, it doesn't turn out well if these are not like so. Save that, and let's go back into the game. Alrighty, and there we have it. High quality HDT-SMP physics for our MFL. Definitely took some time to do. definitely not perfect as it is. It's definitely high quality, I can say that. It's really quite good. You can see, actually, I think, the cape around a little bit. You can see how the cape interacts with the arm. That is extremely accurate collision physics for HDT-SMP. Very, very nice. The reason that it is thinning, sort of, it's becoming narrower than the actual non-SMP model is very likely due to the fact that we only had 3 bone branches. We did that for the sake of simplicity and brevity. I still think it looks quite good as it is, but if you wanted the cape to be a little bit wider, then I would suggest adding maybe 1 more bone branch, maybe even 2 to make it 5 total. Chapter 5, Conclusion. I've got to say I am impressed by those of you that made it as far as they did with me. This is as far as this video can take you. What we have made here are realistic and high quality physics with free and easy to use tools that were frankly never designed for this. The issues we see here can be corrected by tweaking what we now know how to tweak, namely our weights, bones, and XML file. Keep backups and tweak your NIF until you are satisfied with the outcome. Here concludes this tutorial. This has been, for me, the beginning of a journey into modding. I really hope you found this video useful. Be kind to others, and I hope you have a great day. Cheers.